So I think we should probably just ask before we get too deep into this. Are we actually live, everybody?
Is my mic on?
Is the mic on? Are we working? Can you hear me?
Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2.
Sibyllus. Curmudgeon's Corner 35, everybody. What is going on? What is going on? Eileen, it is so great to see you.
It's so good to see you.
And everybody that's joined us, thank you so much. Like, as always, there's a million gazillion places that you could be on a Saturday night, but you spend your time here in the Curmudgeon's Corner. We are so ever grateful that you guys come out. Phil is running a little bit behind, which is fine. There's so much that we still need to talk about, even, before Phil gets here and after Phil gets here. How I like to basically save everything for the camera. So there's some things that have been going on, and I haven't even shared them with you, which is weird because you're like one of my besties now. So
I know I feel so out of the loop right now.
Tonight is a little bit hard for me, or I should say today is a little bit hard for me. Today is September 7th.
It is
September 7th, 2024. There's Phil. Phil, give us 1 second. I'm monologuing, if you will. So September 7th is a pretty significant day, and for me, the reason why September 7th is significant is 30 years ago today, in about an hour, I died.
No way.
And they brought me back. I don't know how deep into the rabbit hole you want to go with this story, but bottom line is I ended up jumping off of a bridge by accident in Pittsburgh, off the Birmingham Bridge, 65 feet onto rocks. And right next to 2nd Street, which it's. So anyway, today it's a rough day. It's kind of a memorial, and because this is this is year 30 for me. It's the 30th anniversary of my death day. I was taken to Mercy Hospital, which is part of UPMC. UPMC at the time, University of Pitt Medical Center, at the time was number 2 in the nation for trauma, and I ended up bleeding out through my pelvis, and I went into a PEA, which stands for pulseless electrical activity, which means the heart still has an electrical current and a technical pulse. If you were to put it on the EKGs, you get a pulse, but there's no volume to pump. So nothing's happening. But like I said, they were able to get fluids into me, and it happened on a Wednesday night, and I woke up on a Saturday, and it was 9 months. I spent 9 months in the hospital in a recovery and multiple operations, and my body was in traction and things of that nature. But I went through a really, really dark period of time. And everybody that's been a part of the Curmudgeon's Corner for the last 35 episodes knows that darkness and I have a relationship. Yeah. And, and it's because of this community that I've been able to really kind of express my struggles and express my my ongoing fight, and so Curmudgeon's Corner 35 that happened to be on September 7th. I was actually supposed to go to Pittsburgh. I was with 2 guys the night that it happened. One of those guys is no longer with us. He also fell and in a separate situation, but he didn't survive. And then I was supposed to go with Mikey to Pittsburgh today and kind of do like a little memorial, but things kind of have gone sideways between Mikey and I. But anyway, I don't want to get into the weeds.
Can I say something? I would just like to say that I understand that there's some downing to this situation, but I would like to say that I feel blessed that they did save your life and that you are here today, and that we're able to share this moment together. And I feel super blessed So I get that it is I guess a negative situation in your eyes, but I see it as a very positive because it gave me you, and so I'm appreciative of that.
Eileen, thank you so much. No, it definitely is. It's the whole reason for the Phoenix. That is why I named the company Phoenix. Literally back
Yeah.
from the dead. And
Right.
my brother had a very similar situation. Although he never died. He has definitely had to rise from his ashes, and that is why Phoenix. My dad, when we were talking about names and this, and then he's like, "Why would you go with Phoenix?" Well, that's why we went with Phoenix. And then the EOD, we all anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Phil's backstage. Let's bring him forward. Happier times are ahead of us. Eileen, thank you. That's a beautiful thing to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, Phil, get in here. There he is.
There he is.
How's it going, everybody?
The most handsome man in detailing is here.
Oh my goodness, this is true. Like
Where?
Controversy, there is no controversy.
Don't look around, Phil. It's here.
And the beard. Oh my goodness, Papa Smurf, get out. Bill Miranda's in the house. Woo. Look at this guy. I did a who wore it better jawline on my Instagram last year or something like that. Who wore it better? It was Bruce Campbell versus Phil Miranda, and I think Phil Miranda won hands down. So
absolutely,
there's no doubt about it. Phil, how are you? Good to see you.
Good, man. Sorry I'm a little late.
Not at all. You actually your timing, as always, was perfect. I had to get a little off my chest, and I'm glad that you're here because you make everybody feel better. You're like Santa.
He is, absolutely.
All right. So what's going on with you? How are you?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, it's been a relatively normal month, which is good, work-wise and things like that. We're actually leaving for vacation. We haven't been like on a proper vacation for a while. And we're going to North Myrtle Beach come Monday. We're leaving for a week, so we'll be gone from Monday to the following Saturday. So
that's nice. Fantastic. Are we allowed to know like the proximity of where you're going?
Yeah, it's actually North Myrtle Beach. It's there's a motel there. It's like a resort basically. It's called North Beach Plantation Resort.
I think last year my wife and I stayed right next to that after the Southern Detailers Conference. We did the Southern Detailers Conference, then we went back to New Jersey via Myrtle Beach, and we stayed at North Myrtle Beach, and it's just absolutely fantastic.
So I like it better. We went to Myrtle Beach and went to the boardwalk and everything, and it just, I don't know. I don't like touristy areas, and sometimes touristy areas can kind of go downhill a little bit, kind of gross. And
100%.
Like, I don't like this area.
Yeah, well, it was Titan Tim was instrumental in all of that, and since he lives in Conway, which is just outside of Myrtle Beach, he was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna do North Myrtle Beach. It's a different place than regular Myrtle Beach." And he was right. He was a fantastic guide, as always. Titan Tim, hell of a fellow. If you get a chance, I don't know if you have any plans to meet up with him, but he is an excellent dude to hang out with, and he knows the town.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So and actually it's this month. What day is this? The 7th right now? Oh yeah. This month is our 21st anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah. So last year was our 20th, and now 21st is this year. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's wild. How is Jess doing?
Oh, she's doing better.
Okay,
she's been having some health issues recently that, we can't travel due to that. We can't go on a plane. We can't really do long distance traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So she's getting better, but hopefully, I don't know if next year we'll be able to travel or not. Just kind of all depends. But she's getting better. She's got to get a hold of her health and everything. So
Look at that. Congratulations, happy anniversary. Big congrats, Phil. Happy anniversary. Everybody, dude, you are a fan favorite. I was so excited. Like, I don't think that I've ever given you full honors. You've been on my show, I think, or excuse me, our show. You've been on our show at least twice, if not 3 times. I know that you came on to help promote the Southern Detailers Conference. I know that you came on for the birthday show, which again, publicly, I should apologize for. You know, I believe that you were not given respect like you should have. But anyway, but I wanted you to come on the show, and I know you always got stuff going on, and I just basically wanted to be able to give you the limelight because you are such an extraordinary fellow, an extraordinary detailer, and more importantly, especially if you just look at these comments, the information that you bring to the table, the way that you do your videos, the way that you talk about your videos, and the process, I find to be more valuable than anything else that's out there. When people are talking about the process and like why we're doing what we're doing or why we're not doing what we're doing, I just think is so much more valuable than just throwing content out to have content. Hey, today we're going to do this, sob, bop, right? But it's kind of like the process behind it, and that was one of the reasons why the you 4 horsemen in particular I gravitated towards, because you all have that same kind of, I want to bring the information to my friends, to my followers, but to my community. And that's something that I've always loved about you, is that there's a lot of guys out there that are like, I've worked on my trade for umpteen years and I'm not going to share those secrets with anybody. But you are just like, ask me anything, I'll tell you whatever, and we can do videos on whatever. And I've always appreciated that about you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I try to keep things realistic and cut through a lot of like the fake marketing stuff, the fake detailing, the disaster detail type stuff. And it's not for entertainment purposes, it's for actual like educational purposes, and kind of cutting through all of that. So sometimes it can be difficult to voice certain things or to say certain things that like the detailing community views as like these rules or laws, or like you have to do this or you can't do that, and I really don't like that,
Right?
because it's detailing. It's not like it's anything that important. Not to devalue it, but it's not of such importance that someone has to feel that they're like the elite of the detailing community, which there are some big guys out there and big names that know what they're doing and everything, but it's because they have connections that they're so large, in their viewership and everything, and which is cool. But what about us little guys?
Right.
Like the majority of detailers going onto YouTube and searching for things like, how do I start my business? What are the products I should use and need, and the processes? And you watch disaster details and you don't get anything from that. Like they're fun to watch, but that's about it. But and then even some of the bigger guys that have huge channels, they kind of have other things going on in their life. Like detailing is not their bread and butter. It's like a side thing. It's like a fun side thing. I'm thinking like Pan the Organizer is one good example of that. Amazing guy, amazing detailer, amazing channel. But for those of us who know him, like that's not his business.
Yeah.
Like, detailing itself is not his business. The YouTube channel is, and then he has, he's worked for other companies, to make his money. So I try to cater to like the guys, the guys and gals who actually detail for money in a real business.
Sure.
They need like the most help, and they need the reality of running a detailing business, not the like glamour of the YouTube side of it, basically.
Right.
Let me. I I wasn't planning on weeding into this so quickly, but you kind of, this is a good segue into this question. You have found yourself on the end of, I should say not on the end, but amongst a controversy. And it was, I forget who it was. There was like, I remember weighing in on the controversy, and I defended like your position because somebody came after you sideways. I forget who it was. It doesn't matter. They're some clowns. They came after you sideways, and I was just like, hey, like, you don't have no idea who you're addressing, who you're talking to. And the fact of the matter is that it's his opinion, and it's his opinion, and it's supported with what has worked for him. He's not telling, he's not selling snake oil. He's not telling you how to do something that clearly doesn't work. And it's like, sleight of hand, trickery or whatever. You can see like a lot of YouTube videos where somebody's eating 60 pounds of something, but you never actually see them swallow. So that, like, when they're cutting the video, they're probably spitting it out or whatever it is. The bottom line is, in that controversy, when people are coming at you sideways or when they are saying disparaging things about you, this past week was a tough week for me, where there was a customer who, I mean, as you know, I've had some issues with the Titan. We had some emulsifier issues. We since have fixed it. We've cleaned it up, and talking to my chemist, my chemist put it to me this way, and it was really kind of cool. It made me sleep for the first time better all week long. And he goes, there are two types of racers on a racetrack. There are racers in a car that want to drive faster than anybody else, and they're going to build their car to be faster than anybody else. And there's a good chance that you're going to put yourself into the wall, just so you know. Like, if you're going to try to shoot for the front of the line, you might hit the wall occasionally. And he goes, and that's what happened with the emulsifier. We're building the Phoenix line to be as good, if not better, than anything that's out there. And as long as we're continuing to push those boundaries and that borderline of, we're approaching maximum velocity here, friend, you might want to consider, and I'm just like, let's just see what happens. And then all of a sudden you get we put ourselves in the wall. So, but we fixed it. And so I had a customer that got a broken bottle. And there was no appeasing him. I replaced the bottle. I sent him because he was like, my triggers are all gummed up. The bottle is ruined. This, that, and the other thing. I've got streaking on this car. I sent him a new bottle of Titan, a bottle of Peleus panel prep, all the triggers. And I said, listen, heavy duty triggers. I sent him my big heavy duty triggers. And I said, if that doesn't work, I will Venmo you a refund of whatever it is, whatever it takes to make you whole. I want to do as my, as the owner of this company and as customer service is concerned, I want to do what's right, what you think is right by you. And he just wasn't having it. And he sent me video after video after video. And it's like, dude, I understand that you're pissed. I understand that you're upset. I'm trying as hard as I can to make you, in lawyer terms, make you whole again. Whatever it is that I need to do to make you whole again, I want to do. And he just wasn't having it. How do you feel when you get onto that receiving end of that kind of just negativity? Like when those clowns were coming at you for I not liking a rotary or something. I forget what it was, but it was like they came at you sideways, and it made me angry to the point where, as a company, as Phoenix, I needed to weigh in and was like, how dare you say such a thing to him? How do you just brush that off? Like, because we're humans, and I take it too personally. I know I do.
Me too. Yeah. And it's interesting because I'll respond to people like that because people are seeing it too. So, that one of the people that did that, he blasted a bunch of stuff on Instagram. And really, when you start doing that in social media, there can actually be legal, consequences to that because it's slander. And I actually took screenshots of it, and other people were responding to it. They're like, "What's up with this?" And then they're like, "Oh, he took it all down." You know, the guy took all that stuff down. But I'm like, really, there could be legal ramifications to that if I wanted to push it any further. But I didn't even really talk too much about what he was talking about. I kind of more went the other direction. I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" I tried to be more personal, you know, because it's so inconsequential. You know, that what they were attacking, it's so inconsequential. It means absolutely nothing, but they're putting so much time and effort into it, which makes me think, what's going on in that poor person's life that they have to spend that much time and effort doing this? It must mean something else in their personal life, which is kind of sad.
Right.
It's very, very sad. It's an emotional and a mental deficiency. It's something that they're lacking.
Sure. And you know, I mean, the old adage, you know, nobody knows what demons you're facing or that person's facing. So like, go easy on people because you don't know what struggle they're going through. And to make it a little bit lighter, I don't know if you've watched any of the Ted Lasso stuff. I find Ted Lasso to be just just a beautiful show. And the whole dart scene where he says, "Be curious, not judgmental."
Yeah.
And if they were just curious about my background, you know, they would have asked these questions. And since I heard that, I have tried to really live by that and remind myself that every single day. Dude, just be curious, not judgmental, and like be curious of why that person is behaving the way they're behaving, or why they're seeking the attention that they're seeking, or why they're doing it that way. Be curious, not judgmental. And I think that if we all do that just a little bit more, I think we're going to make our world a little bit better. Just be curious. Like, want to understand why I am the way that I am, and I will try to understand why you are the way that you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'll ask people questions because, you know, with YouTube too, a lot of people will just leave these weird open-ended judgmental comments, but it's based off of what? It's based off of a few minutes of what they saw. So they don't know the background, they don't know what my customer wants, they don't know like what I'm being paid, they don't know anything other than what I allow them to see on a video. So they're having to pass some sort of judgment based off of limited knowledge. So I will usually ask them questions like, "What do you mean?" Like that's usually the first thing I'll ask them is, "What do you mean?" And you know, then sometimes they'll answer and explain why, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I understand the confusion." And sometimes I'll say, "Here's what you should have said. You should have asked this question first, and then asked this question, then asked this question." You know, accusation without inquiry is just insanity.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, no proper intelligent person, you know, and I compare it to like a scientist, a person trying to understand something and learn. No one is just going to make statements. They're going to look at something and be like, "Oh, it must be that." That's what a child does.
Unless you're running for office, and then you can just say whatever you want, whenever you want, based on nothing.
Let my statement runs true like a child.
Excellent. Excellent point, sir. Excellent point.
Like, people who do that to me are not full-grown, mature adults. They have a child thinking. And that's what we're dealing with. You know, the people who make those kind of comments, we're dealing with adult children because they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to ask questions. They don't know how to learn. And when you try to teach them, it just hits a brick wall, unfortunately. So there's like a disconnect basically between what they're seeing and what we're telling them and what they want to accept. So I do try to like think of all that, and I never respond in kind. I never respond nasty. You know, I'm not going to respond like they respond, but I am going to try to figure out like what's going on. Like, why do you think that? Why would you say that? Why would you, you know, say those types of things? But sometimes it works over well. Some people were like, "Oh, I didn't mean to write it that way." Like it came out
Sure.
wrong.
I had a boss. We call it email or text muscles. And I had a boss who would he would fire off something and be really harsh and lots of capitals and exclamation points. And I'd print it out and I'd come over to his office and I'm like, "Hey man, is there something you want to talk about? Is there something that you want to get off your chest?" And he'd be like, "No, I was just letting people know that we should be parking out back instead of out front." And I'm like, yeah, but there's a way to go about saying it. And then there's a way that you text it and print it. All right. So email muscles. Let's go.
It is hard to convey a certain thought with just text. Like it's really hard.
Right.
Like,
and even if it is well written, it can still be because there's no inflection. There's no, it could still be misinterpreted. I forget what comedian. It was a bit on air where it was like the guy. He was just like, "Yeah, let's go right." Oh, it was Key and Peele. I was watching Key and Peele, and they did the whole text message back and forth. They were about going out on a Friday night. You want to go out? Yeah. You want to go? He's like, "Yeah, I want to go. I want to go right now." And he's like, "He wants to go right now. I'm going to go over there and find him. He wants to go right now." And then he goes over there and he's like, "Man, it's about time you showed up. I already poured a drink." And he's like, totally read that wrong." For sure.
And you're seeing both sides. So you're seeing him, he's like, "Oh, sure, like whatever." And then the other guy's gonna like, "Sure, whatever." It's so funny.
Yeah, I've been binging a lot of stuff these days. I don't know if you want to do like Eileen's stuff first or mine, but I have a whole subdivision of conversation or questions about you, Phil. Because one of my best experiences of doing it was year 2 when we did the Southern Kraken tour, and I came down to see you, and we got to go out to dinner. And for me, that was like totally pulling back the curtain and seeing the wizard. And I mean, like as far as just like, my love for you grew 3 sizes that day. I don't know if that's something that you want to share with the rest of the world, but you are definitely just an awesome dude.
Thank
you. The fact that you did my show, and you dressed up with you did the impersonation of Eric. Instead of Eric, it was you, and you were wearing that mask. That's awesome. That definitely is 3 times.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
it's awesome. Eileen, what do you got? What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? You've been quiet. You've been quiet today. That's not fair.
I have internet service issues right now. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, you're a little sketchy.
So that's right.
I mean, you sound great.
Half of your head is starting to disappear.
You just stop motion photography.
So if you want to do, if you want to do your stuff while I figure my life out over
First
here.
First of all, Chris. First of all, Chris, I already did cry before you got here, so I'm done crying. Thank you very much. And you're just gonna have to go back and watch it if you really want to see what's going on. The Goated Podcast. Let's see here. What's going on? Anton's in the house. The Sam Squatch is in the house. Chris, Fred, Adrian, Westcat, Papa Smurf. I think he's driving home, so he's texting and driving. If the 501
text and drive, Papa Smurf.
Yeah, Papa Smurf. JB. Hey, JB, here's a question for you. I see Eddie and Jamie doing this whole rags to riches or something. I forget what it is. Rags to riches.
Oh, the rag house.
The rag house. The
house of
rags. Because I was thinking house of pain. I was going to jump around, jump up, and jump down, and jump. Yeah, the house of rags. JB, how come you're not a part of that? What's going on with that? What's that all about? Yep, rag house.
Do I still sound like a transformer?
Thor, they're calling it. No, you never did. You've always sounded good. You just look like
the audio
stop motion photography.
Okay, good. Then we can do whatever you want to do. I think it's because today we had like an end of the world storm out here. We were getting hail and rain and Phil, I live out in the California desert, so for us to get this kind of weather was not expected for me, and I think that's probably what's affecting my
probably.
service.
It has been seconded by Mike G.
Yeah.
By the way, we Mike G was on our last show. He was such a great interview. I had such a good time on with him on Curmudgeon's 34. So, Mike G, appreciate you tuning in. Check it out. Yeah, the weather is definitely something this year. Ours this past week was nice. It was like in the 70s, and the humidity wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And then today we got a little bit of rain, and it even dropped it down to the high 60s, which is where I thrive. Like anywhere between like 54 and 66.
Yes.
This fat kid loves it.
That's beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's starting to be like that now, which is nice. So the humidity seems to have gone down a lot. We might have a few days left, but I think we're going into our fall season, and the fall season here is the best.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I remember because we were stationed at Quantico, which is about, I guess, an hour north of you, closer to DC. And Virginia summers can be pretty brutally humid.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Those falls and springs, there's nothing quite like Virginia in the fall. I mean, it's got nothing on New England, but that's just because of the foliage. But
exactly.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
The fall lasts a long time here.
Right. It lingers. Right. You get like 2, maybe 3 fall in New England, whereas Virginia,
here
nice
fall is I think about 18 hours, and then it's hot all over.
Like if you missed it overnight.
If you blinked, if it fell like overnight, that's it. You're waking up to a hot day.
When I lived in California, and a little bit more west than you, Eileen, I was in Orange County. I remember it getting like 70, 71 degrees, and I'm like, oh, I better get a hoodie on because it's getting chilly. It's getting chilly in California at 70. Like now, I'm just like, oh God.
I see it all the time. People throwing on their parkas for like 72-degree weather. And like, you don't even understand. Like this is in some other places, this is summer weather.
Yeah. Everything in New Jersey is bipolar, sir. Everything, not just the weather. Good.
I think that's what Jersey means.
What's that?
I think that's literal translation of Jersey.
Exactly. Yeah. San Diego means whale's vagina.
It's a Latin word for
bipolar.
Jersey is Latin for bipolar.
I agree. Hey, that's going to be a good trivia question for next week.
Yeah.
What does Jersey mean?
All right. Do you want me to do my little spiel before you?
Well, I want you to do a trivia question first because it's 8:30. We should give something away.
Oh man, trivia question. I wasn't prepared.
All right, I'm prepared. Where did Phil live before his current location? When Phil was a mobile guy, where did
Alaska.
he live? Like at least the closest big city. Where did Phil live? Before while he was a mobile guy.
That's a good one.
Whale's vagina. Adrian, that's San Diego. Nope. Vermont.
In the U.S. That's for vague.
Well, Vermont is where I kind of grew up. But
we're talking about mobile detailing. Where was Phil? What city was Phil mobile detailing closest to? Maine. Nope. You guys are like way north. Way north.
Come on, we're the Phil fans.
New Hampshire. People are just saying stuff now.
And Boston. Boston. Oh, there it is. Rick Smith. There he is. If ever a guy
it would be Rick.
Yeah, it's Rick Smith. What is he winning? Eileen, what's he winning?
Rick.
A pint of Hydra. Okay.
Hydra? Sure. Yeah, that's a great idea.
The Hydra 3.0 is so awesome. I've been playing with it this past week with my boy Ryan from Waxworks. Wow.
Phil, have you used it?
What?
Yeah, I did. I actually used it on did I publish that video? Yeah, I did. Do you remember that video I did a couple of weeks ago of all the artillery fungus removal?
Yes. Yeah.
We used Hydra as a clay lube, basically.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
100%.
clay lube. So I mixed it up pretty. I was like glug 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 in like
Glug.
a
So
spot.
we did
definitely not 256 to 1.
We used Kraken for that. We did Kraken at like, I think it was like 5 to 1. So it was like really thick and soapy still.
Oh, nice.
And because it's got that high pH, we used that and a plastic razor, and it just took the artillery fungus like it was candy.
Oh,
boop, 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 like right off.
Crack is
Yeah.
no joke.
Yeah, crack it in and a plastic razor. Yippee-ki-yay.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Playing with what, Aaron? I was Hydra. We were playing with Hydra a lot this week. I got so much. I probably have close to 10 hours of day of footage that I have to weed through and edit.
I love it.
That's well, that'll be segment 2 or segment 3. We're going to talk about your editing abilities, Phil.
Official.
Oh.
256, right?
I actually go 3 to 1, so it's like
No, we're talking about Hydra.
It's like 3
Hydra?
7. Yeah, of Hydra. I go 3 to 1.
Yeah.
But you can say let's say the official dilution is 256 to 1. And
What were you talking about? 3 to 1.
Kraken. I was talking Kraken at 5. Kraken.
I was
5
like,
to 1.
wait a minute. What are we saying?
Kraken 5 to 1 on artillery fungus. Kraken
Okay,
at 5 to 1
Okay.
with a plastic
Got it.
razor on artillery fungus.
Yeah,
The official
everything makes
dilution
sense
ratio
now.
for Hydra is 256 to 1, but I do 3 gallons, and I've had no problems. When the video that I made of taking that pollen out of like the door jams and stuff like that, that was at 3 to 1. So, I mean, going back to the original segment of no two detailers detail the same way, and do what makes you happy and do what works for you. If you feel more comfortable at 256 to 1, then do 256 to 1. But I am on the, like, I like to push things as far as I can and see what I can get away with and see what it can do. We did a mildew and mold covered seat at 10 to 1 with Kraken, which I didn't think it was going to do it, but I mean, it melted that stuff like it was nothing.
Awesome.
So do what works for you. And so, we're going to talk about like the letter of the law legally. Let's just say 256 to 1, but I think it goes even farther than that.
Yeah.
That is what's worked for me.
Cool.
Okay.
A lot of it does come down to experimentation anyway. Like I'll mix stuff up according to ratios, and I'm like, I need more, so I'll just mix up.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
On the fly, like you need to be able to be flexible and know what to do on the fly.
Now, also, I will say this: there are when people are doing, like, when the camera is on, people will, like Eileen, when you did that Apex soap video where you actually measured it out before you dumped it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, that is done for the sake of the camera. I think that's done, because
I did it for you because normally I wouldn't. I would just be like, yep, that's good.
But I mean, again, for the sake of the camera, that's the right thing to do. For the sake of the camera, when you're trying to show instruction to people, it's the right thing to do. But on like a day-to-day basis, when the camera's not rolling, like I watched Ryan while we were down there working on his cars. Ryan wasn't measuring anything out. He was just like, squeeze, good. Yeah, that's what it is.
You know what's interesting? A friend of mine is a baker. He owns a bakery and he makes cakes and all sorts of baked goods. And I remember talking to him once because I'm like, how do you measure stuff out? You're making all these cakes and all these baked goods. And he's like, how do you measure things out? Because I was getting into like baking bread, and if I get into baking bread, I will gain so much weight because it's addictive. So I stopped doing it for a while. That's another story. Anyway, so I asked him about measurements, and he's like, I don't measure. He's been doing it for so long that he can do it. Yeah, he literally goes, like, scoops up with his hand, and he's like, yeah, boom. And then he's like, put a little bit of this, put a little bit of this. So it makes sense when someone is experienced with their chemicals and knows exactly what needs to be done for any particular job. There's no need to be that exacting anymore because you just know. That's a good sign,
to further your point, I went to my grandmother and was trying to get all of like her old recipes that I, like she would make fudge and make this and everything, and she would be like, all right, so just a pinch of this, and I'm like, well, what's a pinch? What's a scotch? What's a just a scotch? What's a scotch of this? What is a scotch? Can you define what a scotch is? And she's like, yeah, it's just a scotch. Like, there you go, it's done.
Yeah,
I was like, all right,
it's like some of the greatest things that cooks and bakers and stuff that and family recipes that have been passed down are things that are by rote, orally. And like my grandmother, my background is Portuguese on both sides, like from the Azores, and it's a Portuguese bread. They call it massa. It's a sweet bread, and like once a year we would make it, but my grandmother only knew how to make it in like the largest batch possible. So it would take up the entire day, the entire table, and it would be mixed in this, like, it looked like an old one of these like metal with a white enamel, like huge bin thing.
Yeah,
right.
Like I in my mind, in the old country, it reminds me of like what they would milk, the cow's milk.
Yeah,
not a
right.
Like a large thing, but it would be like pounds of flour, pounds of sugar, pounds of eggs, like, and nothing was written down. It was just tradition. And so she knew, like, this is how much, this is how much. So when it was passed on to us, we're like, we need to know measurements because we can't make it in big batches.
Because we got to bring that down.
Yeah, we have to break it. We have to break that down. Sure.
It actually took a while to figure it out, but we broke it down to make one loaf instead of like a dozen loaves. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, that's the mark of like tradition, but it's also the mark of like someone who knows what they're doing, and it always comes out exactly the same. There was no deviation from it at all.
But I feel like that's very true for like the older generation, because they had to feed such huge families that they only knew how to feed 30 people at a time.
Exactly.
Now you're just like, it's just me and my cat. How do I make that?
Exactly. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting analogy, because so many detailers are so afraid when it comes to ratios. And I'm like, be exacting at first, and then you'll realize that you don't have to be afraid of it. You'll be able to do things by eye eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Phil, you have a stalker. Just want you to know. Just putting you on alert that yep. Another one is smitten by your chin. A chin of steel. That Superman chin that you have there. You should let that grow out a little bit and get that little curl on your forehead.
I used to when I was younger.
I bet you did.
I had my hairline was about down to here too.
Yeah. Yeah, I wear a hat for a reason. Last time I didn't wear a hat, Humberto called me out. He was like, "Oh, look at the haircut on Aaron." I'm like, "That going back on." You ruined it for everybody, Humberto.
No.
There you go. Yeah, Daryl, we appreciate your father's service. Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right, Eileen. Yes, it is time for you to do your. Yeah, you can do your story, your questions.
Do my things.
You do your thing.
Let me see here. Let me open it up.
Phil is the Vince Vaughn of detailing.
I did the impression of Vince Vaughn in one of the videos too. I forget which one it was. Like I went on a rant like Vince Vaughn does it.
That's awesome.
He does love a rant.
It's so funny.
All right. First question. What is a tool that you bought that you feel now you could have waited or never purchased at all?
Ooh. Oh. The Tornador.
Really?
Like with the bottle. Yeah.
Oh, that's like my favorite thing in the whole entire world.
I've maybe used
breaking my heart.
In my
that's incredible. Now I say I 100% hear you. And I understand what you're saying with the bottle. The last week, this detail we use the Tornador on almost every job every section of the job, but we didn't use the bottle. He just used it as the tool to basically blow crud out of there. He's like, we're going to go over it with this, and then we're going to use the Tornador to just kind of blow everything out. We'll vacuum and then we'll Tornador.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I love the tool. Just the nozzle. I have like 2 or 3 of those.
Right, and just attached to it like an air compressor, and that's it, right?
Yeah. Maybe
Perfect.
it could also be because I don't have a large air compressor, a large tank that is, and it needs volume. It
Yes,
definitely
it
needs
does.
volume. So it needs like at least 25 to 30 gallons, or that like rigid one that can run at 90 psi and keep up with the
That's the one that I have. Yeah, the little orange one.
that one should be able to keep up, but mine doesn't. It uses air so fast. So, but I still love the tool itself. But that tornado thing now just sits.
Okay, that's fair.
Alrighty. What is one thing that you have in your arsenal that if it was missing on your next detail, you'd struggle or kick yourself for not having?
Oh, that's a good one. I know right off the bat. My little Hoover brush that I use for my vacuum.
Yeah.
I love that thing. And if I don't have it, I'm like, I have nothing else.
What is life?
I love that nozzle.
Yeah, what is it?
What does it look like?
Here, let me see if I can look it up really fast here. But it's one that I've been buying on Amazon for years and years and years. And once I found the perfect brush nozzle to go in my vacuum, I've always...
I can share it on the screen if you tell me what it is.
Yeah, it's called the Hoover brush vacuum. Let me see. Hoover vacuum dust brush. Yeah, dust brush by Hoover. It actually gives you the model number. It's UH70200. So it looks like this little guy.
Yep, I see it. Let me bring it up.
Yeah, and when I see them, like, actually, I should probably buy.
What do you use that? You use that for any vacuuming, or just like pet hair, or like you just use it on every detail?
I use it on everything. For carpet because it has the stiff, short bristles.
Yeah.
And it's a nice small head. No, wait, not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one. It has a round head. It was actually one of the Amazon's. It may have been like a bestseller one. Oh wait, no, it says recently.
How about that?
I bought one.
Is that close?
Oh, yeah. I'm probably gonna buy 3 more of these. And they've gone up. Like it used to be like $4 or $5, and now it's like $10 for a nozzle.
Oh, because they know. And now
crazy, they last a long time.
Now that you said it, they're gonna go up another $5.
I know, it's so crazy. Yep, add to cart. Buy now.
Well, there's a bunch of people in the comments saying they bought one because of you, Phil.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I love that little nozzle. Yeah, so if I don't have it, it's like it's annoying to do carpet without it. For me.
Got it.
Yeah, it's almost like I really do depend on it. I probably depend on it too much.
I'm gonna have to get one then. Okay. Next question. What is a skill that you learned that has proven to be the most beneficial for you as a detailer or in general as a business?
A skill that I learned while detailing or just previously in my life?
A skill that you've learned that has proven to be the most beneficial. So I guess anything you brought from your previous life before detailing or current.
I would have to say customer service. I used to work, one of my first jobs was working at a bookstore at this tiny little like plaza mall in Vermont, in like a little it was Walden Books, which is now I think out of business.
Yeah,
it was part of Borders Books, and it was the first job that I actually worked for like maybe 2 years, and went from like a temp all the way up to assistant manager. And then I was like managing the store and managing like these book drives and all sorts of stuff. But they gave me a lot of responsibility. And I was young. I was only like 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
And that taught me a lot about customer service, how to deal with difficult customers, how to like find stuff and make people happy. That was one thing that I really enjoyed, was making people happy and finding exactly what they wanted. So people would come in and they're like, I'm looking for this book. It was about this, or the name was something like this. And all of us would have like kind of a little meeting before we opened the store of all the hot, books, the bestsellers that came out, and like this book is going to be hot and this seller is hot. We got a bunch of them coming in. So we were all on, on topic of knowing exactly what people were looking for. And then when someone came in and they gave us like one word and we're like, yep, I know what it is. And we like walked out and found the book and handed it to them. It was like, how did you know that? It's such a good feeling to like,
Yeah.
do that for people and to help people. So
Right.
that skill I learned, and I worked with these young girls. One was a little younger than me at the time, one was a little older, and it was all of us young people. We're all like late teen, like 18, 19 to early 20s, running this bookstore. It was just us, which was
Oh,
very
wow. Cool.
we all jived together really, really well. We had really good relationships with each other and all friends, and we ran that place like in tip-top shape. It was awesome. So I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from that experience. So I bring that to our business now and really try to make people happy and satisfied with the work that we do. So it comes with the demeanor that I try to really approach people with. Not being overly friendly. I don't want to be overly formal, but still have that sense
Sure.
of friendship with people and being professional at the same time, and then just making them happy. So if I throw in a little something extra for them here and there and make them happy or solve a problem that they had, that's such a good feeling, to do that. So I kind of take a lot from that skill. I still think of it to this day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. As a small business, what has been the biggest challenge that you faced? What would be your best or favorite accomplishment to date regarding your business or because of your business?
Ooh, that's good. I mean, one of the biggest challenges right in the beginning was just getting customers, and gaining a good reputation. That's one of the hardest things, is gaining a good reputation for any type of business, because
Yeah.
it takes being able to do enough customers and take care of enough customers for the reputation to build. If it wasn't for the customers, you'd have no reputation. It's all because of them.
Right.
So little by little, I mean, it took a long time. It took years for us to finally get to the point where we're like, wow, people are being referred to us. That's how we started getting customers, is people being referred to us from other customers that were happy. And it just kept, building from there on out. So yeah, that challenge is definitely one that every detailer faces, like how to get new customers. But no one person can tell you this is how you do it.
Right.
There's no way of like, you can give tips and principles and some advice, but like really it's all you.
You have to
Like,
find your little mojo.
You do. You
Yeah.
really do. All of us do. So it's on an individual basis. Of course, I took a lot of tips from other people, but I'm like, it was all us. Like, it was just me and my wife, and we just had to figure it out and really try to grow from that.
Yeah.
It eventually will happen. We almost gave up. First year, we almost failed, and we're like, are we going to go home?
Really?
Move down here, and we're like in $30,000 of debt. We don't know what we're doing. We're like, try to start this bit. Like, it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
so, we had hit rock bottom anyway. So I'm like, whatever. If we fail, we'll just go back home, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah.
But we kept on going, and just struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled. And,
Then eventually you struggle less.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. 3 to like 5 years in is where I really felt comfortable. 3 years in, it started to go up much faster. And then about 5 years in, I'm like, okay, now I feel much better. We did have to go bankrupt. We actually filed for bankruptcy, which sucked, because that was the only way to get out of the debt. It was the only way. And at that point, it didn't matter, because like, who cares? We hit rock bottom. Who cares? Let's just start from zero and let's go from there. So yeah, I mean, we learned a lot from doing that, and building up our credit again, and but at least it eliminated $30,000. Gone, done.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you can only go up from there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we
There's
thought.
nowhere else to go.
Yeah, like, who cares at this point? Let's just do what we got to do. And
yeah.
So when people come to training or ask me questions, and I'll ask them some questions, they're like, oh, I'm coming from a full-time corporate job. And I'm like, you already have an upper hand. Like, you already have money in the bank. You have something to fall back on if you want. We had nothing to fall back on. Nothing.
Yeah.
we had to just keep going nonetheless. Like it was just what we had to do. So if we went back home, I don't know what we would have done if we went back home. There was nothing waiting for us there. We had just, we had failed up there.
Roll your chips. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like we had to continue here. There was no other way. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that's kind of a help to other people because we had the worst situation possible and we were still able to grow. It took time, but we were still able to do it.
All right, let's see here. Next question is, what social media platform have you had the most success with?
Definitely YouTube.
YouTube?
Yep.
From the beginning?
Yeah, actually, because Instagram didn't really do much for us.
Yeah.
When we
and
started.
Not even Facebook?
Nah, Facebook didn't do much either. I would post stuff on there and it didn't spread like YouTube did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of I think FaceTime. Gosh, I sound like I'm old.
How's your MySpace, Phil?
Yeah, exactly. MySpace. Yeah. with Facebook, I think I shouldn't say it's run its course, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't using it correctly. I don't know, but YouTube seemed better. It seemed like a more established platform, and from what I saw, other of my detailer fans that not fans, but people that I looked up to, detailing heroes that I look up to, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I think that's the way I want to, fashion our content off of and the videos off of. So yeah, definitely YouTube has been a huge thing. I mean, it was because of YouTube that we got in touch with Turtle Wax and everybody else. It's like that we put ourselves out there and introduced ourselves to the YouTube world and met a bunch of great people.
Yeah. Okay, last question. Is it the last?
You skipped a whole bunch, lady.
I didn't.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
What did I? Which one?
I just thought you were going out of turn, so I just kind of was moving.
No, I think maybe we need to reevaluate my list with your list because I think your list.
Someone said,
"It's just been posted for the last 10 curmudgeons." What are you talking about? I'm sorry, Phil. What?
Someone said, Chris M said, "Got to get my MySpace if you have a Commodore 64." I used to have a Tandy, like an old Tandy PC.
Wow.
That was like 16 colors.
TurboGrafx 16. It was awesome. You guys.
TurboGrafx 16. Yeah, it's so funny. Commodore 64.
What is the weirdest thing you found while detailing a vehicle?
Oh, see, I deleted that from my list for some reason.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Not only that, but it's in the banners. I have them listed in the banners.
All right.
The banners.
Do I have to say?
Co-host. Yeah. So you're up against what did Brian say? That
a cock ring?
A cock ring, yeah. So yeah. Apex, and without hesitation, bro. He was just
not he didn't even blink.
What's the strangest thing you've ever found in detailing a car? He's like, other than the cock ring? And we were like, wait, what? What do you mean other than the cock ring? What?
Oh,
yikes.
Ugh, so gross.
You're up, Phil.
Well, we
detailed. He might beat that.
No, not really. It's still disturbing and still kind of a mystery to us, but like a thong. No, it was like a thong, but it was a dude's car.
Yikes.
There was no ladies around, like there was no girlfriend, wife, or anything.
Okay.
And it was there every single time we detailed the field, like multiple times. It was still like I had to be like
the same one.
Yes.
Wow.
Like it was always in like a.
I want to say I want to be judgmental, but I'm going to choose to be curious.
No, you don't want to know. I don't want to know. Nobody wants to know.
Yeah, nobody wants to know
why or when or who or no.
Yeah, probably not.
The fact that it was there every single time in like a cup holder in the back, just
Huh.
I don't know. It's a mystery. It'll always be a
right. All right.
That is a mystery.
Oh, gross.
All right. So the next one that I missed. Have you ever had a customer that expressed unrealistic expectations of a detail? And this question comes from my experience with a customer that I guess had watched too many disaster details on YouTube and thought that I was going to take his seats out for a basic standard interior detail. And I told him, no, sir, that's not how the real world works. So I figured that might be something that might resonate with other detailers. So have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah. Actually, something recently that happened that I'm so annoyed over, but was a good learning thing. So we've had customers before that assumed they were getting something else other than what we were supposed to do. So we did an exterior only, like a polishing on a vehicle. It was a $500 service, but that's our exterior only. No interior, nothing, no interior. Door jambs, maybe interior glass, just to make it look nice if it's smudgy. And the customer came back and was like barely happy with the exterior. And he opened the door and he's like, "You didn't do the interior?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like that wasn't on our service ticket. We had discussed just exterior only." And he's like, "I thought you would have at least included that." He's like, "I just assumed that it would have been included." And I'm like, it was in that was not in any conversation. In fact, I remember when you dropped it off, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking this, like, I always say it's exterior. We're just doing exterior only, unless you want to add something. And he drove off angry. Actually, there was two different customers that expected that drove off angry. And one recently that I'm still kind of stewing over. It happened last week, and this customer we had done a year ago on his vehicle, and we did a paint enhancement on it, same type of service, and great. He was happy, everything was good. This time around, he used his warranty company, and I don't remember if he used the same company last year because I didn't have this problem. But he used his warranty service on this car to basically get a free detail. And I felt very weird about it. I'm like, I already feel like this is weird. Like he's kind of doing it. He's kind of abusing the warranty system, saying that there's scratches and stuff in the paint. But that's what some of these dealerships will do. Their warranties cover weird stuff like that, like scratches, things that are caused by the owner themselves, either neglect or something happening. Like a little bit of water spots, a little bit of swirls, a few little light scratches here or deeper scratches here and there that I could only lighten up by about 50%. You can really only see them if you shine a light on them. We did the whole exterior. But before that, I had to go through this entire ridiculous thing with the warranty company, back and forth with their end. Like they wouldn't accept my invoice because they wanted specific wording that was in their contract and their warranty. And already that made me feel uncomfortable because their wording was not really what my service included or was taken care of. But I felt obligated. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll put that wording in there. And supposedly they accepted it. And I was waiting for payment. They were supposed to pay me before I do the job. And I don't like dealing with warranty companies because they always linger or bait and switch type of thing. And he called me and he was like, I can't wait anymore. I can't wait for you to get paid. I need to get this job done. Very rudely, like arrogantly. And he's like, I know you'll get paid. Like I never had problems with this before. So I'm like, okay. And I used this wording. I said, I'll acquiesce. And it threw him back a little bit because he's like,
what?
Why are you using that word in particular? And I'm like, I'm using that word in particular for a very specific reason. Like I'll acquiesce. And at that point, my whole attitude with him changed. I'm just like, strictly, I was very, very friendly with him before. And now it's just like, this is a straight business. We're going to do your car and hopefully get paid by the company. And that's it.
Yeah.
Because it was pushed.
Right. Yeah. Because then you take that friendly out of it. And now it's just straight business.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But
I've used you in a lot of different examples or in different discussions. Especially on Curmudgeon's Corner, I brought up one of your videos in particular. I think it was like one of the first videos that you did when you were reviewing Glossom Wax for the very first time. And you were talking about, and again, I bring this example up a lot in conversation. You were talking about your conversation that you had with the customer, and it was like, I know as a detailer what should be done to this vehicle, but the customer doesn't want that done. And he's like, you had said it kind of the detailer in me wants to do that step, but I know that the businessman in me says that we've already had that conversation and they opted out of it. So I'm not going to go and chase that detail. I'm not going to go and chase those imperfections. I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z because of the informed conversation that we've had with the customer. And so, like, I remember very distinctly talking to Nacho Man about this very thing, where he's like, well, it's my name on the detail, and that customer's going to go out into the world and my name is going to be on that detail, and they're not going to tell their friends and family that they didn't want this feature done or they didn't want that done. And so it's going to be like, well, that guy did a really crappy detail on my car. Although they're never going to tell their friends and family that they didn't pay for it or they didn't want that service done. They're just going to say, oh yeah, Phil did my car and it looks like this. And you're just like, you son of a, like, come on now. Like, I told you what it needed to be done and you said no.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like that Sophie's Choice. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't kind of.
Yeah. So actually I was stuck in the middle with this situation because the warranty company actually called me and said, why is it so expensive? I was only charging $500. Our paint enhancement service, I figured that should take care of everything. The warranty company called us up and wanted to know why it was so expensive. But then at the same time, we did the job and everything seemed great until a week later. This was last week and he did it just a couple of days ago. He complained and said, the scratches aren't gone. And I said, we can only go so far in them. I can't take them all out. And he just went berserk. He went way into left field I don't think he read what I wrote back at all. And I got a feeling that he might have been on the something, because nothing was coherent at that point. It was just all anger at that point.
Yeah.
With the guy that, you couldn't make happy. Same here. And he's like, I think you were so concerned about getting paid that you didn't listen to me. And I'm like, no, we did our service. So we were like stuck in the middle and we haven't been paid yet. And I told him the company hasn't paid us yet. And he's like, I don't know what to say. I gave you all the information. I gave them the information. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, you're not a paying customer. We just did charity work for you.
Right.
We never got paid. So it's like, we're dealing with this right now. Now, I should have rejected it at that point, but because he was a previous customer, I acquiesced. I kind of did it, even though I didn't feel comfortable with it completely.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll do stuff like this to set a precedent for our own business and for our own policies.
Sure.
And this is another line that I'm going to put into our customer acknowledgement form. If doing any work for insurance or warranty companies, payment must be made in full before performing our service. So I'm going to have to word it put it in that form. So it's just another lesson learned, because I never really had to deal with something like this before. We got paid before, but I don't remember if it was the warranty company or not. So it's the first time dealing with this.
Yeah, I would say that's the exception to the rule, because, based upon the, numerous conversations that you and I have had and just watching your channel, you're all about the informed decision making. I'm going to have a conversation with the customer. We're going to discuss things. I'm going to point things out to them, and they're going to be able to have an informed decision on whether or not they want a service or not, and what they want to pay for and what they don't want to pay for. And I think that's something that I've always used you as an example when talking to other detailers. Like, yes, your name, like, again, Chelsea just chimed in about this, where it's like, yes, your name is on that detail, but at the same time, you're doing a disservice to you, your business, your family, by going above and beyond for something that they don't want or appreciate or are going to pay for. I
Yeah.
know that time is money, and the more the more laborious an activity is, and you give them it'll cost $500 to do this. The more time you put into it, the less per hour you're going to be getting paid if you continue to just go over and over and over and over what you budgeted in your brain.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that's hard to get over at first. I mean, I think I kind of had that mentality first when I started too. And that's why it was hurting us, is because for a basic wash, I was going overboard. I was going way overboard. And we'd be spending an hour and a half on a vehicle and getting paid $25 to $30.
Yeah.
And that's when I quickly learned, that, and again, it's because I was watching other detailers do things, and trying to copy it, when I'm like, why am I not making money? Why aren't customers happy? With that.
Right.
I was serving the wrong clientele. I was serving the wrong type of customer. But again, some still kind of slip in. For every, I don't know, 100 customers that we do, we get one that's unhappy because they're just unhappy.
Yeah.
They expected something that was unrealistic. And no matter our conversation, I had plenty of conversations with them, and we talked about exactly what we're going to do. And it still bit me because of the type of person he was. So,
yeah.
And I learned that last week with this guy with the Titan. There's just some people that, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they just won't be appeased. And I guess it goes back to that whole, what demon are you dealing with? Because there's something more to your issue with that. And I go back to Chelsea's conversation about the 1 star. The 1 star that she got because she just did a wash and wax, and she didn't do any kind of paint correction because he didn't want any paint correction. You can only inform the customer so much. You can only go over what you're buying so much, and then at that point, and again, like you, Phil, who you internalize it, I internalize it. I'm still trying to figure out ways of letting that kind of stuff go. I could have 20 of my friends. Eileen, I immediately called you, and I ranted, and you were just like, you got to let that go. You just got to let that go. And it's so hard for me to let that go.
For the first long time, I actually lost sleep over it. Just one night, and I lost sleep over it because my mind will reel and reel and reel and reel, and I can't shut it off. Sometimes I can shut it off. Other times, it's like my brain is thinking in the background.
You just spiral.
Yeah, it totally does. And what I do is I play out scenarios. I've always done this as a kid. Is I play out scenarios. What if this happened? What if I had said this? What if this happened?
I do that all the time. So bad.
It's almost like a way of it is a coping mechanism, but for the time being, it's very stressful. But in the end, I'm finally feeling good over it. That I'm I went over all the scenarios in my head, and I'm like, no, I feel good about this decision that I made now. Because
but when you're in that process of what about this? What about this? It's such a it's anxiety.
It is definitely. Yep.
David Bradshaw, I agree. Some people just love to be unhappy. Yeah, there are people in this world that thrive off of being miserable.
Or it's the type of person with arrogance, such arrogance that they deserve something like, I have a BMW and I have this job. And
you mean entitled? Are you referring to entitled individuals?
Exactly. Yeah. He even said to me, I have never paid for a buff and wax. Never paid $500 for a buff and wax in my life. And I'm like, why did you even say that sentence? I found that really, I didn't even address that. It was really weird. That's why I'm thinking, what is going on?
What's his deal? Yeah.
It's the detective that, when he says, I can't believe that she was stabbed. And he goes, I don't remember saying how she died.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what set up. Wait a second. That means you're using the warranty company just to pay for your details. That's what that means. Which means that's fraud. And if the warranty company ever calls me up, if they do pay me, great, but I doubt it. But if they ever call me, I will tell them. I'll be like, you know what? Nothing was really wrong with this car at all. It was little teeny things that he was just nitpicking about. I feel really uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable doing the job and dealing with him at this point. I will totally rat him out to the warranty company. and then they'll have to investigate.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll be like, you know what? I was caught in the middle of this, and I shouldn't have done it. I kind of fell for it. I shouldn't have reworded my invoice because I kind of lost a little bit of integrity with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because of that. And I feel stupid for doing that, and I shouldn't have done it. But because I didn't have a problem with him before, it was, but lesson learned again.
Right.
Yep.
Where are we at?
Last question.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
How do you classify success? What does that look like for you?
Success, I have to think that is more internal than external.
Yep, I agree.
Definitely more internal. Like in our life right now, I feel the most successful right now. And it's not because of what we see, what people see. They see a big house and all that. I'm like that's not
it.
Like
Yeah.
my parents live here. Like we live together now because my parents are getting older. They're retired, and they have the means to actually buy this house, and then we split it, and we pay half. And there's like a symbiotic relationship that we're living with our parents now, which is the first time in our lives, after being married, that we've ever had to do that.
Right.
So our lives have changed completely, but we're now closer as a family, like with my parents, and things are so much easier now financially.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about the financial end of it or anything like that. Like, and really, I do have to praise my parents for that, because they thought ahead, because they took care of their grandparents or their parents, my grandparents, both on both sides, took care of them until they all passed away. But they were comfortable. They were set. They were not neglected. They were taken care of properly. So my parents were like, hey, we have the means. Let's jump ahead. And so we're not putting a burden on our children.
Yeah.
So I praise them for that, because they have insight. They're thinking ahead. It's wisdom. They're thinking ahead. And a lot of people in today's society do not think that way. They want to be so independent. They want to have that independent success. And I don't think that's very, very rare. And even when people achieve an independent success, they're lonely. They're sad.
Yeah.
They've lost friends and family, or they've burned them along the way. They've burned bridges for their success. So yeah, success is definitely more internal. It's not about money, but it is about being comfortable, being okay with what you have in your life right now.
Yeah. Really quick, since we touched on it earlier, door jams, is that an interior service or an exterior service? If you're doing one or the other.
That's such a controversial thing. It's as I do it as a on needed basis. Basically, I'll look at the door jams. If it's an exterior only, I'll look at the door jams and I'm like, yeah, they need to be done, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
If it's and I don't do interior onlys anymore, so that's not a problem for me.
Okay.
But when it was, I would do the door jams with an interior too. So for me, it was kind of both.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, because sometimes on an exterior only, if it's a brand new car, if it's like a ceramic coating and we're just doing exterior, I'll look at the door jams and I'm like, quick wipe, seal them, done.
Yeah.
And I'll include it in there. Same, sometimes even interior glass. I'll do interior glass because it just needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's easy enough for me to knock out within 5 to 10 minutes. So
yeah, it doesn't take much time.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Eileen, you want to give something else away?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you want to give away?
Let's give away. Can we give away Apex?
Yeah, we can give away Apex. All right, Apex 3.0.
Apex 3.0.
Who's getting it? What's the question?
The question is, Phil said earlier that there's a tool that he doesn't use very often, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit. What was that? What was that tool?
Sorry.
What is the tool that Phil wishes that he could have gone without?
He never bought.
Yeah. Could have gone without.
Waste of his time.
Enthusiast got it. Boom, right out of the gate. Enthusiast wasted no time.
Yeah, but Chris M actually got it.
Yeah, you're.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Did someone say thong?
Someone did say thong. Yeah, excellent. All right, so Eileen,
Chris M.
Chris M. You're gonna give it to Chris M. All right, throwing it over with the bottle. You are correct. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Chris M. If you haven't won in the last 3 curmudgeons,
I don't think he has. I haven't seen it come up.
send me your billing or not your billing. Haha. Send me your mailing info to Aaron at Phoenix City.
So Chris, what do you need then? What do you want? If he has Apex already, there's no point in sending it to him.
Oh, he has a gallon. All right, Chris M. What do you want instead?
Typhon?
Go to next in line. No, Mary, she wins a lot. Come on, Miller Detailing wins a lot. Westcat, he definitely wins a lot. Well, Miller Detailing hasn't won anything in a long time. Are you, Chris? This is your one shot. You can either give it to Miller Detailing, or you can ask for something else. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, it is Chelsea.
It's my new fave. Oh, Chelsea, thank you so much.
Brian, I don't.
Wait a second, win. Fab, you're my friend. You win every single day. You win every day.
He wins with your friendship.
You win every day because we talk on the phone and I forget your orders. He texted me the other day. He texted me and he sent me a screenshot of a conversation that we had in July. And he was like, "Hey man, any word on this?" And I was like, "Oh, I totally forgot. Sorry. It's only coming up on September. My bad." Give it to. All right, he wants Miller Detailing to have it. All right, Miller Detailing gets it. Miller Detailing.
Nice.
Winner, chicken dinner. Apex 3.0. All right, so we're going to kind of segue a little bit differently. I got a whole bunch of starred conversations that I want to go back to. Phil, I hope you don't mind being put on the spot, but we got a couple of questions that were starred that I want to talk to you about. First and foremost, Kimberly MC, before we even got started, before the show even started, it was probably a half hour before we went live. She wrote, "Greetings, notification is on, so I don't miss stuff." That is you. That is 100% you, and I wanted her to get props that she knows your catchphrase. As a matter of fact, it's on the back of the Glossom bottle, so you don't miss. And that was because we threw everything at Glossom Wax. We put, from Teflon to carnauba wax. The dog is barking at something. Carnauba wax, Teflon. I mean, we threw everything into that bottle to. It's a lot of. I like Glossom Wax. I just did my dad's Toyota Tundra with it, and it is so easy to use, and it gets such great results so quickly. I'm going to post these videos. The look of how proud my dad was when he did the passenger side of his truck and I did the driver's side of his truck, and he was so happy and proud. It's like I waited 50 years for that moment. I waited 50 years for my dad to be proud of me, and that was it. That was pretty cool. Anyway, all right, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a curious learner. You like to know why and how first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that typically your approach to things? You kind of, I want to know what makes this thing tick before I really get into it.
Yeah. As a kid, I loved Legos. I loved building. I love taking things apart and putting things back together to figure out how things ticked and worked. And when I broke stuff, I would take it apart to try to fix it and put it back together. And it's to this day, my wife and I have this joke that she's bad at puzzles. She hates puzzles. So sometimes in vehicles where certain cup holders and certain center console thingies come apart and we clean them and dress them and put them back, usually I go back into the vehicle to check, and it's just kind of thrown in there. It's not put back in. She's like, "I tried, I gave up." But I love puzzles. I love trying to put things together and figure things out. It's it's a mind thing for me. So so when it comes to detailing, I'm I do want to know, and I don't need to be so scientific. I don't need to know everything like forensic detail, like he gets into that stuff. I don't have time to do that, but I try to do more of just the logical stuff. Use it. This is how it works. Did it work? Did it not work? How can I make it better? Type of thing, and just use it and work with it and figure it out. And then, work out any problems from there. So yeah, when I see new products come in the market, I don't want to jump on them. I want to see other people use them first.
I do the same thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to be the first one to try it because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to put that much research into it.
I'd rather let someone else figure out how it works well. And if it does, then it might be worth my time. Yeah.
Exactly. Because then I have some reference points to go to, like, hey, this person said this, this, and this. Let's see if that works for me, and that type of thing. And then I go from there. So yeah, I guess that in a way that is true. And maybe it just comes from liking to solve problems, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Devil's in the detail. I'm sorry. I will handle that immediately. I've taken another note. I think I owe a couple of people some things from the last Curmudgeon's Corner as well. I apologize. It's been a kind of a crazy couple of weeks. Sorry. No excuse. Sorry. I'll take care of it. I promise. All right. Next up is. Oh, never mind. I'll take care of that. I told her I would DM her about that later. All right. Off topic. Pan just announced he's going to have his own product line. Apex for sure is not getting the top spot. Ha ha. I don't know. I mean, Apex is tough to beat, especially 3.0. So, if he has a soap that is better than Apex 3.0, then God bless him.
He's going to rebottle it. No, I'm kidding.
Right? He should. He should. I would totally white label for Pan. It's million subscribers.
Man, that'd be awesome,
right?
I highly doubt his price point will be competitive with Apex. His price point is like on the level of like ammo stuff.
Well, and Reese, like his number one soap, that Car Pro Reset, it's twice as much as Apex. And I'm like, in his very first comparison between the two, he was like, well, we're just splitting hairs. We're just really nitpicking at the differences, but I like Car Pro Reset. And I think it was Texas Didi that was like, well, if you're just being nitpicky and Car Pro Reset is like $60 to the gallon, then Apex at $30 to the gallon, like there's no contest here. Like that's just stupid. Yeah. If you're going to spend that much money on something that, has, a minute difference in performance. And then we did 2.0 and he still didn't give it props. And we were like, you're on the take. Get out of here.
Yeah. At that point, it's just personal preference.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got that kind of money, go ahead and spend it, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, that's another thing I tell people too. It's like sometimes it's just personal preference, and you like something because of the name, or sometimes even just the look of the bottle,
or the scent.
Whatever. The scent, exactly. Like if you can afford it, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's Phil, you're 100% right. If you can afford it and it works for you, do it, because we at Phoenix wanted to be something that was a little bit more weekend warrior friendly. Like we wanted it to be, we did it with the mobile detailer in mind, making things sun friendly and stuff like that. But we also wanted it to be like as easy on your wallet as possible.
Yeah.
Because we're in this together, right? And hopefully I can give you a super professional grade product at a reasonable price so that you're successful, I'm successful, and together we're all going to be successful.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the McGuire's detailer line when they first came out. That was their intention, was they're making gallon products that are highly dilutable and they were very affordable. A lot of the soaps and the cleaners were under $20, $15 a gallon, and like dilutable like crazy. And then they just they're not really focusing on that line that much anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like so many mobile detailers, me included, Love it.
If I were a betting man, and again, this is 1,000% speculation. When you start getting into the retail stores, like the AutoZones and the Pep Boys and stuff like that, when I used to work at the old company, we had a kid that worked there very briefly that was like middle management for Pep Boys, and he kind of gave the insiders view on how they operate. And from what I understand, from what he told me, Pep Boys would say, we want 500 units of, say, Apex Auto Wash. We want 500 units of Apex Auto Wash at the Woodbury branch, and we want 500 units at all of these locations along the Eastern Seaboard. Okay, great. But we're only going to pay you X amount of dollars for those 500 units. And it's nowhere close to what you like a manufacturer needs to make in order to be profitable, even a little bit, even if you're just marginally profitable. Like they're paying you less than cost for 500 units. And you go, well, but it's the exposure, and I'm going to be in front of 80 million people and these. So what the manufacturer does is they go, all right, well then we're going to cut way back on how good it used to be. And instead of using, like for example, in the new surfactant that we're using in the Apex Auto Wash and in Peleus and in Hydra, it's a very, very expensive surfactant. I mean, it's stupid expensive. So instead of using that surfactant, I'm going to use this surfactant, which it's good. It's not as great as this one, but it's also not nearly as expensive as the other one. So I'm going to use this one. It's going to still do the same job, quote unquote, but not nearly as good as what it used to be. And that's the big difference. And so that's why those products that back in the day, this stuff used to be the greatest thing in the universe, but it doesn't really work as good as I remember it working. And it's because of that very fine line. Like the surfactant that I use in those three products, it's listed under the exact same name with different suffixes. So it's like you can use surfactant A XYZ, or you can use surfactant A STQ, right? And STQ, it's not quite the same. It's close, but it's not the same. And it's like, well, we'll use STQ because STQ is like $500 cheaper a gallon.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're like, all right. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
I believe that's why it is the way that it is. And so that's one of the other reasons why I've been very reluctant to have those conversations with those kind of companies, is because I feel like we're so fledgling that, I need to stay true to, my fan base, my customer base, and continue to, push the envelope of being that race car that wants to win those races and not be the race car that kind of hangs out in the back. We're going to compete, but we're going to suck every time. Yeah, I'm not interested.
Exactly. You don't want to water down your products.
Not at
Who
all.
cares if you get the exposure of people like, oh, the products aren't that good? Why is that? Why do all these other people love these products, before, but they're not good now? Yeah, people will see. They'll definitely see that.
Okay. I bet people didn't know that Phil makes bow ties and that he sews. What's going on there, friend?
We're supposed to say that, David.
And how do I get my how do I get my own bow tie handmade from Phil? Like, where do I go to order that? I didn't see it on the Miranda Detailing merchandise page.
No, I used to have an Etsy page too. I used to have an Etsy store, but I did that quite a few years ago. Probably about maybe 8 years ago or so, 7 years ago. It was in our other place that we were living across town, and we just had like a slow winter. Basically, we had a really slow winter, and I do not like to sit idle, and I had to do something, and I wanted, like, I've always liked, like, I would dress up. Like we go to like our it's not church, but it's basically our Bible meetings, and we dress up. So I like to have cool clothes, cool shirts, cool ties, cool bow ties, stuff like that. And we started watching, I think it was when we started watching like Downton Abbey and all of those like cool British shows where it was all like really nice, like Brooks Brothers bow ties and
Yeah.
ties and all that looked like the wool tweed and herringbone style. I'm like, oh, that's such a cool style. Love that.
Big Doctor
And
Who fan, I can tell.
no, I'm not actually. I should be, but I'm not. But so I set out to find ties and bow ties that were like of that British style, that like thick herringbone and tweed and all that. I couldn't find anything. So I went to thrift stores and bought like old tweed herringbone jackets. And I'm like, this is what I want. This is the material I want. I wonder if I could just make my own ties or bow ties with it. And that's what started it. Went down the rabbit hole of how to make templates, how to sew them. And I got sewing machines and learned all of that on my own. It was like a side hobby that actually turned to something a little bit bigger. In this area, Richmond, there's like part of the college VCU is like their fashion section. And I didn't even know this, but they had an amateur fashion show here in Richmond, like once a year. And like local designers and brand, like there's a suit designer maker here in Richmond, tiny little hole in the wall place, and they make custom shirts and suits, like awesome stuff, super expensive. And they would host the show and actually have like models dressed in suits and ties and all that stuff. And I got to be a part of that. They would actually wear some of my stuff there, and we got to sell some of our stuff there at those like fashion shows. And then I went on Etsy and I went to other local stores and would sell stuff. So yeah, it was at least maybe like 2 to 3 years of a section of my life that I did.
Is it possible for an insider, a true friend of the Phil Miranda, to commission you for one?
Oh yeah, I actually still have
top dollar. Top dollar.
Oh, I forgot. Here's the other cool thing. Because I made my first product out of like an old jacket, that's what I started making all the stuff from, was old clothing that was good material. So I would go to thrift stores and find all sorts of cool shirts and suits and like jackets and stuff, good material, and make it out of that. Because if you go to like fabric stores, they don't have that type of material. Their material is cheap and not what it used to be. The only way to get that type of material was to deconstruct it. So that was my thing. I would make repurposed bow ties and bow ties from these repurposed shirts, which is pretty cool. Oh, used to sew blue jean quilts. That's cool. So a friend of mine had like a pair of diesel jeans that he's like, can you make something out of this denim material? So I made him a set of like a denim tie and a denim bow tie out of diesel denim jeans. So I repurposed it. And then I think I made his daughter like this little purse bag thing with like her name in it from that. So it was supposed to be like family heirloom type stuff. If you had shirts or clothing, that you could repurpose it and have it made into something else, which is kind of cool.
Alrighty, so the next one. Now this is going to be kind of coming at you fast. Two people kind of hit on the same question, and I just wanted to. I'm going to bounce back and forth between the two comments. So basically, it was Phil. Can you touch on the joy of detailing with your wife? And then part 2 of the question, that was from Mike G. The second part of that question comes from Fab, who says, if Jess tomorrow isn't detailing anymore, would you continue to do it all by yourself? So there's obviously definitely a Phil and Jess kind of synergy that goes on. Talk to me about that, because I mean sometimes I look forward to going to the warehouse, is all I'm saying. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it at that. Sometimes I just like going because there's nobody at the warehouse but me. So talk to me about that synergy of working with your beloved.
Yeah, Yeah, it's interesting because when we were first married, we were working together also, but it was a little different. Her parents actually owned a painting business that I worked myself into, basically. And because I used to do painting in the past too, like interior professional painting. So we did that business for years, and she would come and work like a day or two a week. But it was her parents, it was her family, so we were very, very close. Got to know her parents really, really well. So we were kind of already working together like that, and we worked really well together. She is a hard worker. She does not dilly-dally around. She gets the job done. She's like, I want to get this done. I want this to look right, and I want to do it and get it done and get paid.
It's easily, not to interrupt you, but that is easily probably my favorite part of your videos is when you say a silly question or a silly thing, and then you ask her, and she just gives you the eyes. She just gives you that eye rolling. I love it. I crack up every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because she's caught in the middle of doing something, and I'm like, "What do you think?" And she's like, I'm not ready to be on camera. I don't have anything. I'm working here. Leave me alone. Yeah. So there's no way I would have been able to do this. Make this
Turbo
business.
6. Sorry, he was asking what we were drinking.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there's no way I would have been able to do this business without her. It's both of us or bust, basically.
So to answer Fab's question, if she's like, you know what, Phil, tomorrow I think is my last day, you're like, all right, well then I guess it's our last day.
Well, I mean, I would still have to continue on. I would still do it, and I would totally guilt her every single day.
As you should.
Yep. I mean, she gets days off when I do training. Like when someone comes here to train, she gets the whole day off, which is cool. But here's the thing. She also does not like it when I'm overworking and on a job for too long, like I was before. It was part of the reason why she started doing polishing and the coatings, because we would do everything together, the basic detail stuff. And then when it came to polishing and coating, she's like, well, I'm done. I don't do that. Like, I don't know how to do that. And it was a few years into it that she's like, I hate it because she's in there, like, making dinner, watching TV, relaxing. I'm out in the garage into the night hours, like working to get the job done. She didn't like that. I didn't like that. So the minute that she started picking up the polisher and doing that, I'm like, well, now our time is cut in half.
Yeah.
Now that we've both become very proficient, we can knock out these ceramic coating jobs in a morning and be done by 1 or 2, go out to lunch and have the rest of the afternoon off. So I think that is way better than her not having to work at all, and having me.
That's a win-win
all the time. It's a win-win situation,
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll get the job done and we're like, let's go biking. Let's go have lunch and go biking.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So
and you had said earlier that you would cut down on your actual days of detailing. So like you would try to carve out more time for the two of you to go and be able to do stuff like that, which is just fantastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that makes a huge difference with the relationship because we're not strained. We're not so stressed to like have to be able to work, it's not so much of a struggle anymore, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we were struggling, we just dealt with it. We were both used to struggling. We didn't grow up rich or anything. She was a farm girl. I was a city boy, but I wasn't, my parents weren't rich or anything.
Sure.
So we all had to work hard. Like I learned how to work hard physically. So, and we never went to any universities or colleges.
And it shows. It shows. Yeah. It shows in your in the work that you put out. It shows in your details. It shows in the videos, the filmography. I mean, other than Rad Garage, I'd say you're the best in the business when it comes to putting out videos and the your camera angles. Definitely at some point, I have over this past week doing that 66 Impala restoration. I mean, I have hours and hours and hours of footage, and I would love to. Between the two of you, Eileen is she's a goddess when it comes to editing and throwing out shorts. I don't even know how to make a short. Like there's no I went on YouTube into the creator studio, and I was just like, there's not even a tab 4 shorts. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do, and it's so
poor
frustrating.
Aaron.
I am so like, for me, my biggest hurdle is things that I don't know make me hesitant to try. I like to know everything that I possibly can before I do anything. And, not to put, Eileen in the spotlight, but like when I was doing one of those lives earlier this week, and she was just like, hopefully your videos don't bounce around as much as you do now. Like, it's like those kind of things where I go, even though I know it was a tease and it was a joke,
It was.
I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore, because now am I bouncing? And now that's all I'm thinking about is I gotta hold this thing so still. I can't move. I don't know what I'm, and it's just like, and I am so my worst enemy all the time, every single day.
Really
I am my worst enemy. Because, and then so like I mean, between us and the Phoenix family here, I mean, I've been filming with Brian from Apex for 3 years, and you've never seen a single video from me, because guess what? I'm afraid to put videos out. So I mean, like I literally had to buy more gigaspace on Google, because I have run out of storage space from all the video that I've taken over the last 3 years, working side by side with Brian, and showcase. Let's showcase the Furies today, and I'm just like, okay, let's showcase the Furies today, but I'm never gonna show it to anybody, and we'll go through
that voice, like
what's. Yeah, and he's like, all right, and the thing is, like, when we were doing Hydra 2.0, and I went out to his shop, and I mean, he literally spent 2 days with me shooting video on the Hydra 2.0 and walking me through. Don't go bottom to top. They will kill you. The people, they will make comments, and they will talk a whole kinds of crap on you if you don't do this, if you don't do that. And so like we're redoing videos. Literally 2 days worth of video shooting. It has never seen light in over a year. It's never seen light. I'm afraid.
I know, and that does suck.
And now I have I am so excited about the video that I've been taking on this 66 Impala restoration, and now I'm like afraid to bring it to light. Aaron does sound like a boomer, because Aaron is a Gen Xer who acts like a boomer. 100%, Mike D. Shut your face.
Oh man.
So I told Eileen, I said, Eileen, I'm just going to load everything up onto the Google Drive. I'm going to grant, she already has access to my Google Drive. I said, you just do whatever Eileen does, because her stuff looks so good all the time. And I just
need you to upload it already.
I just look like trash.
Yep. Well, I mean, there was hours and hours and hours of footage that I've thrown away. When I first started, and even still I'll do a video and I'm like, nah, I'm not. There's nothing of importance in this video. I don't really care, and I just delete it.
Yeah.
So
Exodus FX, I've never had that problem. Liquid courage, my friend. Liquid courage. What are you up to? Nothing? All right, I'll talk to the next. What are you up to? Yeah.
Oh man.
As a matter of fact, Chris M, I don't know if you know that I went to Wyoming.
You just came back from
I went to Wyoming with my father for my 50th birthday back in May, and I was the only angler out of the entire troop to get a hat trick, which was, there are 3 types of trout that are native to the Wind River Canyon. The cutthroat trout, rainbows, and browns, and I was the only angler to catch all 3 of them.
Whoa,
that's what's up.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's very rare.
I can't edit a video, but I can fish like a mofo. Anyway, sorry. The point of the story is that I wish that I could do what you two guys do, flawlessly, seamlessly, and seems like effortlessly.
It's not effortless.
Definitely not effortless.
No, it's not. It's not.
You can say it a lot easier after you've had a few of these apple juices. Effortlessly.
We do have a good relationship, but that's just, I don't know, that's just us.
What's that?
We do have a very good relationship. but that's just that's just us. Not everybody has the same type of relationship with their other halves. So
Sure. No, and
Phil,
it's fantastic.
Phil,
you guys go ahead. I'm sorry, Eileen. Go ahead.
that's okay. Phil, when's your birthday?
July 6th.
July 6th.
Okay.
July 6th, maybe 2.
I'm writing it down. July 6th.
He's a Leo.
He was born with America. That's all that you need to know about. I don't care about the alignment of stars. That man right there is
right?
An
Or no,
patriot.
Cancer. Cancer.
I don't know why I know that. I don't care about any of that stuff, but
Yeah, Cancer.
Yeah, Cancer.
Yeah, cutthroat trout, West Cat. If you ever get a chance, cutthroat is just a gorgeous fish, and the reason why they're called cutthroat, surprise, surprise, they have this red band right around their throat, and it's just a gorgeous, beautiful.
Do you do
fish.
catch and release, or do you eat?
Most of the places are all, unless it's stocked, it's all catch and release. So for the most part, we do nothing but catch and release. But we did a trip to Montana in 2017. That the rivers were all catch and release, but there was a lake that was stocked, and we were able to have. All right, not to sound. These things are the excursions that we go on are really, really intense, and they're usually way off the grid, and it requires an outfitter to take us up into the mountains and do whatever that we do. So for the most part, like everything is already, for lack of a better word, catered, where they'll have like a camp cook who's got a menu going on and stuff like that.
Oh, that's fancy. That's fishing. I can do that fishing.
Phil, the first trip that we went on, we flew into Bozeman, Montana, and then drove 2 hours to Big Timber. And then the next morning we met up with the outfitters, and they drove us 2 hours into the Abasoka Mountains. Whoa. And then when we got to the landing spot at the Abasoka Mountains, we got on these ATVs, and they drove us 45 minutes up into the mountains of the Abasokas to a ranch, to where we unloaded all the gear off of the ATVs, and they put it all on horses and mules. And then we did a 4-hour mule and horse ride up over the ridge, down into the valley, where like only 500 people outside of like the natives of America have ever been into this valley of the Abasoka Mountains, where we spent the next 5 days basically taking these little horse trips to different sections of the river, up to this lake. I mean, like we are so far off the grid. They have a satellite phone if something goes wrong to call in a helicopter, and so like you have base camp, and like I said, you have a cook there and whatever. But then it's just, I mean, zero light pollution, zero noise pollution. You are one with God. It's just, that's all there is to it. And I think the third day we fished the lake, and for lunch we were able to eat the trout that we caught. So good. I mean, it was just the trout over a fire. There was like no seasoning. There was no, blah, 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 blah. It was like, we're just going to run a stick through it, and we're going to put it over the fire and rotate it. And it was so succulent and delicious and perfect. It was like, wow. Wow. So that was the first time we did.
Trips like that are like resetting trips.
Oh yeah.
1000%.
Reset your humanity. That's really awesome.
I've gone on 4 of these with my dad. We did Montana, we did Idaho, and we did West Virginia, and then for my big 50, we went out to Wyoming.
Can your dad adopt me? Because I would love to go on one of these trips.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd want him to adopt you, but he can try. I mean, he's a retired colonel in the Marine Corps, so he takes a little bit of getting used to. There's a lot of yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I remember one day. One of my trips out to visit him, they live in about an hour north of Pittsburgh. We were saying our goodbyes, and I said to him, "Well, Father, I guess I'll be off." And he goes, "Father, it seems a little formal, don't you think?" And I said, "Well, what would you like me to call you?" And he goes, "Sir is okay." Okay, sir. I'll see you when
That's less formal.
That's less formal. That's less formal. Okay, sir. I'll see you when I see you.
Hilarious. What else you got on your little notepad over there? Didn't you say you had a bunch of stuff on your little notes?
Yeah. I have a. You ready? Phil? Are you ready for this?
I don't know if Phil's ready, but
Here we go.
We're ready.
Here we go. Rapid fire. Here we go. Boom. What's on your radio station right now? If you were to get in your car and turn on your radio, what's playing?
Absolutely nothing.
You can't say that.
Do people still listen to radio?
I don't listen to radio.
At all? You don't listen to like
I
like
do.
Pandora or Spotify or what do you got?
I got to tell you what I'm listening to right now that I'm hooked on is Stick Figure.
Stick Figure.
Okay.
What is it?
They're like reggae type music, isn't it?
Yeah. Super chill, like reggae stuff. Yeah.
Eileen's hip.
Yeah.
Eileen's with it.
There's a lot of people out here in California that listen to that music.
Yeah, they're total California guys. Like it's Stick Figure and Revolution and a couple of other guys are all the same genre. Slightly Stupid, all those guys. Like I love.
It's good vibey music. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I'll put that on when I'm doing my coatings at the end. Just
nice.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Dig me 2 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet holes, and then fill them back up. Yeah. Ugh. I did that a lot. Yeah. All right. Anyway. What are you streaming right now?
Oh, watching. Let me see. Actually, my wife and I like the show called Call the Midwife.
The Midwife.
Call the Midwife. Yeah, it's a British show.
Call the Midwife.
Yeah, call not Call of the Midwife.
Just
call
the Midwife. Call the Midwife. Yeah, it's about midwives in like the 1950s and 60s.
I want to say Kim has watched that, and she tries to get me to watch stuff, and I'm in and out, and then I'm always on social media. I'm paying attention.
All that stuff. Oh, and so that's like our drama, but then we usually wind down with we've been rewatching Flight of the Conchords. If you've ever watched that,
that's great.
So
Flight
funny.
Good on you.
Yeah, we love them.
Yeah, David. Yeah, that's it. Like it's one of his favorite movies, which is insane because he was a pilot. He's like, my father was the Great Santini. If you've ever seen it with Robert Duvall, my father was the Great Santini. There you go. It was based off of him, but it wasn't. But it should have been. All right. All-time favorite TV show.
All-time favorite.
All-time favorite.
Oh, that's easy. The Pretender.
The Pretender. Boom. Movie.
Pretender. Movie? Man, that's really hard to think about a movie.
I know. It gets me because there's so many. Like I am a movie nerd, and I'm like, well, I can give you 5, but I'm not going to give you 1.
I mean, because there's childhood movies, like one that I would watch over and over again is The Never-Ending Story.
Atreyu.
That's just a classic.
Oh, Atreyu.
Yeah. Which they're thinking of remaking, and I hope they don't remake. I don't want
them. They're gonna mess it up.
They did. Never-Ending Story 2.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. No. The original
beyond garbage.
Classic, that holds a place in my heart because it's classic. New movies, I mean, I can watch any of the Marvel Avengers movies over and over and over and over. Just because I love them.
You and I will fight later about that. I mean, they definitely took off my Phoenix hat, and they took a big steamer right in it, and then made me put it back on at Endgame.
I know you're a comic guy.
It was so. Listen, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I am such a purist. And the fact of the matter is that if you read the original, I'm going to go so nerd on you guys. If you read the original Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos was trying to get laid. The end. Full stop. Period. He was in love with Lady Death, and she would not return. She would not return his love, and so he said, "I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill half of all sentient life in the universe as to prove how much I love you." And that was his only motivation. It wasn't like, oh, there's limited resources and I'm going to be.
Yeah, that doesn't fly.
And no, he was like, I'm going to prove my love to you and you're going to love me. I'm going to kill half of everything for you.
Whoa.
That's a great story. You don't have to rewrite that. You don't have to Hollywoodize that. That is the greatest motivation of all time. I love this.
They could have done that.
Love
They
it.
could have done it in a way that was, still hold true to the comic, but well.
You're gonna say like that's totally different. Like you have like this like philanthropic whatever. Like I'm trying to do this, for the better of all, versus such a selfish, horrible motivation. Like that's what made him such a pure villain, which is why I loved him in the 90s when I read. Like I have every single Silver Surfer comic there ever was. I did. I collect. There's 40,000 comics right over there, and I mean. The origin story of Thanos and just how much of a just evil person. Like there's nothing redeeming about him, which was why he was so great as a villain. This is like, wow, you're just an asshole. Anyway,
you're happy with the new Fantastic Four movies. I don't know if they're going to be any good or not.
I don't know. The glimpse that we had of John, of Jim from The Office, I thought was fantastic. I thought that was fantastic. He looked great.
He's not coming back though, unfortunately.
No, he's not. He's not going to be in it.
Not that I've seen or heard.
Here's a question for you: How do you feel about Robert Downey Jr. switching to Dr. Doom?
So I have my feelings on it. I like that he ended his Iron Man, even though I feel like I want it back so bad.
Right.
But again, they better do it right. I don't want him the snarky Stark. I don't want him the Stark character. If he's going to go Dr. Doom,
he's got to be a different character.
He better be more like he needs to be Dr. Doom, not Robert Downey Jr. Stark at all.
Again, I will self-proclaimed king of the nerds. I will say this. I understand that Marvel has a very strict regiment that they put on their actors. If you're going to sign the contract to do a Marvel movie, you have to, there's a very strict lifestyle that you have to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to reprise a role in the Marvel universe, just be Iron Man. Just do it. Like if you're going to play Marvel, just be Iron Man. The fact that now he's going to be Dr. Doom, like it bothers me to that point of if you're going to be in the Marvel universe, just like I understand the fear of being typecast, but he's big enough and he's popular enough that any movie that he does outside of the Marvel universe, he's going to be recognized as Robert Downey Jr. Tropic Thunder, blah 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 blah, on and on and on.
Yep, totally. My
concern is the same concern that I have with Sylvester Stallone playing Judge Dredd, Pierce Brosnan playing Dr. Fate. You have these egos. Like Sylvester Stallone has an ego as being an A-lister Hollywood person. Pierce Brosnan has an ego of being a Hollywood A-lister. Robert Downey Jr. now has the potential of having an ego of being a Hollywood A-lister.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is they're going to take the helmet off. And that pissed me off. Carl Urban played Judge Dredd in the movie Dredd.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest thing on cinema. It was great. He never took his helmet off once. Not a single time. In the very beginning of the movie, there was a silhouette of him putting the helmet on, and it was just a silhouette. But for the entire 2 hours plus runtime, he never took his helmet off, and it was glorious.
That would be pretty cool if they would do that with him.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the thing is Dr. Doom, his helmet it's the Man in the Iron Mask. It's on there. There's no taking it off. So if they find a way to take off his mask, I'm going to be pissed beyond pissed.
I agree.
Like, Dr. Fate. The character of Dr. Fate in the Black Adam movie, Dr. Fate is the helmet, the spirit of the law, the gods of law and order, or whatever it is that's inside the helmet. His when Dr. Fate became Dr. Fate, he made an agreement with the helmet that he would be allowed to take it off one time a year on his birthday to spend his birthday with his daughter, who is Zatanna. Right, so he is the helmet. But in that Black Adam movie, he took the helmet off and he's like,
I didn't know that.
I was so pissed. And it was because it's Pierce Bronson. He's got an attitude and an ego, and he has to have his face appearance on the big screen or else he's not going to do it. Screw off. I don't need you as Dr. Fate. I'm concerned that Robert Downey Jr. is going to find some sort of weird loophole to take the the Dr. Doom helmet that's part of his face off.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Now that you said that, now it's going to bother me if and when we see it.
I'm sorry. I'm like that's just like that's. True. If anybody wanted to know why this is called the Curmudgeon's Corner, now you know. Like,
yeah,
I'm very passionate about certain things.
It's true.
All right, Phil, what's your favorite besides Kronos? Phil, besides Kronos, what's your favorite coating?
Kronos, yeah.
It's still going to be Crystal Serum Light.
Crystal Serum Light.
I've used it the most out of all other coatings. I've used it the most. Yep. You know what? I actually have to do a video and correct myself on a vehicle, this red Yukon that we did 3 years ago, and I'll do reoccurring maintenance jobs on it and sometimes video it. I have one coming out where I did a maintenance job on it. And I thought to myself, you know what? I have the original video of when we first did it. So I went back and watched it. And I realized that I didn't use the Dr. Beasley's NSP polishes on that particular one. I just polished it and IPA'd it and coated it with one layer of Crystal Serum Light. But his wife's vehicle is a blue Acura that we did do the NSP polishes to, and they are both reacting the same, basically. Like they look awesome after 3 years. So I'm gonna have to do some interesting comparison video and like go, hey, remember this vehicle where I said I used Dr. Beasley's? No, I actually didn't. I went back and watched it, and correction, I didn't. So it's even more of a testimony to using that coating, after 3 years.
Have you ever?
I think people love that. People love those kind of those. Like here it is. I think Titan Tim just dropped a 2-year Immortal video. He's like, because it's a 9 month to 1 year coating, and he's like, this is Immortal after 2 years. Look at this thing, and people went bananas over it.
That's cool.
Have you ever used G Technics glass coating? Their specific glass coating?
Yes, I have.
What do you think about it?
I actually really haven't seen it in action. I put it on vehicles, but I haven't seen it in action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because I had a client reach out to me and they asked to use that specific one, and I can't really find any content on like anyone really using it other than like the promos that G Technic puts out. But like outside of, I feel like it's not a very popular product.
Yeah, no. From what I've talked to other detailers about it, and they said the other glass and Perspex coating, which comes in like a little bottle, it's a cream formula. It's almost like putting a sealant on your glass, like a cream sealant. And I machine applied onto glass with like a soft polishing pad. They said that doesn't last as long. You'll maybe get 6 months, maybe a year out of it, but it's more hydrophobic than their official glass coating, which will supposedly last 2 years, but it's not as hydrophobic, the effect.
As that one.
Yeah. So, which is kind of interesting. So I use that other cream formula one more than I use the
then you use the other one, and then you just do it more frequently. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What is your guilty pleasure? Food. What is your guilty pleasure food? Like it doesn't. It's not like a secret. Like this is my secret guilty pleasure. But like, what is like the one thing that like it's like I'm gonna indulge if we do this? I'm gonna indulge in it. Like, an example. I love crab legs. And my wife refuses to go to like an all-you-can-eat crab leg with me. I have to go with my buddies that also enjoy crab legs because she'll be sitting there, 10 minutes into it, just like, are we done yet? I'm like, are we done yet? We haven't even started. What are you talking about? Are we done yet? Do you have a
one cluster of those?
What? Huh? You know how much we're paying for this? We're gonna get every penny out of this here.
All of the crabs that they have. all of the credit.
Exactly. It's gonna be like the Simpsons.
It's
Mrs.
no,
Simpson. After
It's a
you
Ron.
all
It's a
you can eat
Ron.
seafood house, where did you go? Oh,
It's
we
a
went.
Ron Swanson thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember Ron Swanson when he was like, "Bring me all the eggs and bacon you have."
I fear what you heard was bring me a lot of bacon and eggs. What I said was bring me all the eggs and bacon that you have. Hey,
yeah.
I love Ron Swanson. I love Ron
that's
Swanson.
awesome.
My son gave me this for my birthday. This
That's
is a Ron Swanson Funko Pop. I love Ron. He's like, Dad, you are Ron Swanson. I was like, yeah, I know. He's a role model, and he should be your role model too. You
Exactly.
weirdo. Anyway, all right. So what's your guilty pleasure in food? Like, what's the one thing what is your food kryptonite, Phil?
Oh, this is gonna sound so pathetic. I love Chinese food, but there's not a lot of good Chinese food places around here. This is gonna sound so gross to so many people, but every once in a while I crave it and I have to go to Panda Express and get Chinese food.
Panda Express Chinese food. Fun story. My brother refuses to go to Panda Express because at some point he said that he received an order of food that there was I guess something in his order that doesn't resemble anything he's ever eaten before in his life. And I guess the manager gave him a hard time about it and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, he won't ever eat there. But I was, I don't know if you watch Good Mythical Morning, which is Good Mythical Morning. Apparently, like Panda Express won like everything when they were like best egg roll, Panda Express, best fried rice, Panda Express. Like they knocked it out of the park on everything when it came to they were, how they do those. What's the best Chinese food, and they'll do one really expensive and one like Sam's Club version, and then like one sort of expensive and then one like medium expensive. Panda Express won across the board. So
wow. Yeah. I always go in. I never order drive-through or anything like that. I always go in and I see them putting this stuff. That I have to do. I can't.
Neil White is throwing the heat tonight, just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's true. It's a horrible. It's a bad addiction. It's a bad addiction.
Right, and well, that's why it's a guilty pleasure. So there.
Yeah, and Jess can't eat any of that food. She has a super like high sensitivity to MSG and any artificial stuff. Her diet has changed dramatically because she has this crazy sensitivity to it. So she can't eat any of that. We used to eat Thai food all the time. Can't eat Thai food anymore. Can't eat Chinese food. She has to be careful about eating pizza from certain places if they have the wrong sauce or the wrong cheese that has some chemical in it or something. So, yeah.
Dude, apparently there are a lot of Panda Express fans in the house, and apparently you have been invited to a pajama party with JB and Papa.
Now they can all admit it. They would have never admitted it until I said it.
That's right. That's right. It's because you're cool.
No one would ever
wants to be like you, Phil. You're the superhero of the group, and everybody wants to be like you. All right. And then and finally, what is your death row final meal? Like if you had the one meal to send you off, like this is my last meal, and it can be anything you want. What's it going to be? I'm sorry that everything revolves around food, but that's what happens when you talk to a
You were hungry when you wrote.
I was very hungry when I wrote this.
Oh my god! You know what? I love a classic Italian, either spaghetti and meatballs or lasagna, garlic bread, and either a Caesar or Greek salad.
Sing it, baby! I love that.
Together, like it's comforting, it's nostalgic, it's delicious.
I would need a side of cannolis after that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can I just be completely honest with both of you? The whole reason why I do the Curmudgeon's Corner is for the comments.
Go Olive Garden. No.
Phil is going out with an order of orange chicken.
I
No,
did.
no, I like Wes. I hate you all.
Domino's. Yeah, we're going. Hey, can I get a Domino's, please? 30 minutes or less, or it's free, right? You're gonna die tomorrow. I don't think it matters. I want Domino's. 30
Pizza
minutes or
Hut
less.
back in the day. Pizza Hut back in the day was
Pizza
good.
Hut back in the day. Are you kidding me? Yes.
It was good.
Yes. Olive Garden fart pasta. I don't care what anybody says. I like Olive Garden. My stepson, he hates it. He calls it Sam's Club. And I don't care. I like it.
I do too. I'm really not that picky. I know what I like, and like a lot of that food is just nostalgic to me too. So
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, pizza in the 80s and 90s was awesome. Yeah. That's actually Pizza Hut was the first time, not that I met Jess, but the first time that we like actually talked. And she sat across from me. It was her and her brother and a bunch of other friends. And she ordered like a pitcher of beer. I was only 19 at the time. She was already like 21 or 22. She's a couple of years older than me. And she looked at me and she's like, "Are you gonna have a beer?" And I'm like, "I'm only 19." She literally looked at me and she was like, "Oh." Like,
oh.
Well, whatever. Yeah, that was at a Pizza Hut. That was so funny. Yeah, she looked at me like, "Ugh, you're young."
All right, let's give away one last thing. What does Jersey mean?
Oh, okay.
Remember that question? What does Jersey
what's Jersey
mean?
Latin for?
Oh,
what
man.
is Jersey Latin for?
What are you giving away?
I don't. What we gave away an Apex. We gave away a Hydra. Let's give away a Peleus.
Okay.
Getting beat up by the Guidos. No, Neil, you came in late. Sorry, buddy. Bipolar.
Okay.
Keith Fiber, you can't win.
That's a Jersey thing you wouldn't understand.
All right. You can either, Keith, I'm tired of fighting you. Either you win or you can donate it. I don't care anymore. You can take it. Keith, have you gotten the Peleus yet?
Jersey is a fat.
Jersey is
Jersey is Latin for bipolar.
He's not wrong.
Humberto, look. Jersey is thong backwards.
Thong backwards.
Yikes. Jersey whore? No. Anyway.
All right, Keith, what are you doing with it?
Oh, he used it Monday. He said he used it Monday and he loved it.
What did he use Monday?
Peleus. You want something else instead? Keith, the door's open to you. Would you like something else? You're allowed. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Since I'm co-host, I'll allow it. All right. Anyway, email me, direct me, DM me later. We'll figure it out. All right. What do we got? It is 10:15, which means we've been doing this for 2 hours and 15 minutes. We can keep going, or we can wrap it up. It's up to you. You're always super generous.
10:30 is probably my limit.
10:30 is your limit. So then why don't we just kind of wrap it up here? This is a good stopping point.
Cool.
That means that Eileen and I have like a bunch of stuff to go through. If you'd like to stick around, you can. If you want to bow out now, I completely get it. But basically, at the end of the show, we kind of go over, the distributors and pay it forward, all that stuff. So, if you don't mind waiting, because I'd love to talk to you backstage, we can. This is all things Miranda. YouTube. This is Miranda's YouTube channel. Make sure if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have. If you're watching the show, I know that you're watching Miranda's stuff because I am a tiny itty bitty little fish compared to Phil. So follow him at youtube.com/@Miranda Detailing. Instagram is also instagram.com/Miranda_detailing. And Facebook is facebook.com/Miranda Detailing for all things Miranda. So you don't miss anything. Also, you can find Eileen at if you want to contact her directly, it's info@getsoclean.com. www.getsoclean.com is her webpage, and IG is soclean_detailing. And then her YouTube channel. By the way, if you haven't already subscribed to her, subscribe to youtube.com @SoClean Detailing. She has fantastic, informative
That's all right.
shorts.
I got some stuff on there.
Yeah, and you do a lot of shorts, which makes it easier for people.
That's
like
because
me.
I like to recycle my reels. I already make it for reels. I already make it for Instagram, so I just repurpose it and make it into a. Because why would I do double work?
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. So so it's easy, it's digestible. She's done a lot of great work for me at Phoenix, making me look a little bit more professional, which is fantastic. And then of course if you want to buy any of the Phoenix products from my website, you can use Eileen10 for 10% off everything site wide. She is an affiliate. So it helps her, it helps me, it helps everybody. Our West Coast distributors would be Adrian at imdetailedaf.com. Our Midwest distribution is Fab at fabdetailsupplies.com. And our Southeast distribution is shineyourlightdetailing.com/store. And that would be Fab Automotive Detailing and Tim from Shine Your Light Detailing. And if you are watching this or listening to us worldwide, we have distributors in Canada at carzilla.ca, in the United Kingdom at indadetailing.co.uk, and Australia at osprodetailing.com.au. And then, of course, I like to round out the show by letting everybody know that you are not alone in whatever struggles you are facing, whatever demons you are staring down. You can find help at www.apa.org. Topics and the crisis hotlines will give you resources to whatever it is that you're facing, and you're not in this alone. The Phoenix family, we take care of each other. We do family first, and that's all there is to that. So again, on a Saturday night, September 7th, a phenomenal anniversary of D-Day for me. I appreciate you coming out, being a part of the show, listening to the show, and being part of this community. You are so loved and welcomed here, and we appreciate all of you guys. So without further ado, thank you so very much. Phil, thank you so much for being just a gracious guest. Eileen, my co-host, my anchor, you are the one that makes Curmudgeon's Corner work. The end. It's true. And I love everybody here. So thank you so much, Phil.
I love you back.
You are the man. I love you, Phil.
Love
God,
you guys.
you're the greatest. Everybody loves you. What am I going to say? All right. Let's cancel all of that and then go to branding. And with that, we will do the outro and we'll see you guys. Oh, at the end of the month, I think it's like on the 28th, we're going to have a really, really, really special Curmudgeon's Corner 36 with Brian from Apex Auto Detailing. It's actually going to be a QA
huge
with a live demo. He's actually going to be setting up panels in his shop. You guys are going to be able to ask questions, and he will do live demonstrations. If you're like, Brian, can you show me how to wet sand? He'll be like, no problem, and he's going to show you how to wet sand. So it's really, really exciting. Really looking forward to the end of the month. That's why normally we try to do every other week. But because there's so much time that needs to be set up, and he's also doing a weekend class on the 21st, we pushed it back to the 28th. And Brian is going to be bringing his A game. So you guys come prepared with questions for him, detailed related, and we're going to make things. Yeah, Brian has his hand hurt. That's true. He was even with his
he's going to cut it off live.
Yes, he's going to do it. And the backup plan is flock of seagulls. So Brian is going to be in the studio no matter what. Flock of Seagulls, aka the other Brian, because there's three Brians that work in that shop. It's Brian Senior, Brian Junior, and then Brian Mayall, which I affectionately call Flock of Seagulls, because if he's ever taken off his hat, he's got this huge plume of blonde hair, which looks exactly like the lead singer from Flock of Seagulls.
We will have a Brian.
There will be a Brian, including Brian Senior, in front of the camera. And if he can't perform it, Flock of Seagulls is
somebody will.
Yeah, and Flock of Seagulls has got talent upon his talent has talent. That's how talented Flock of Seagulls is. So anyway, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Curmudgeon's Corner 36. Have your questions prepared. And until then, be cool.